All right, folks. Today we'll be discussing the rise of Skywalker. Spoilers, heavy spoilers. So
Yes.
you've been warned right now. We'll be discussing the Mandalorian. I probably won't be going as in depth about spoilers with Mandalorian. One, I probably forgot some of the information from early in the season because they do a week by week basis. And two, it just wasn't like, I guess, is crucial as far as like Star Wars plots go, but overall an entertaining experience.
It's gonna be Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess we're gonna branch off into not necessarily the last Skywalker or whatever. What's the name of it again?
The rise of Skywalker. The erection of Skywalker.
Kind of hard to get an erection when you got a vagina, but whatever.
So I guess overall, in a vacuum, alone as a Star Wars film, I'm coming from a huge Star Wars. Like I might make a lot of people uncomfortable with how much I express my Star Wars feels in this episode. But I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. Not enough of a nerd to know what our name is.
Together, we will destroy the Resistance and the Last Jedi.
Well, that gave me goosebumps. But as a Star Wars film, I thought it was good. I thought it kind of hit all the Star Wars notes. You know, it's corny. That's Star Wars at its peak is usually corny.
Super fucking corny.
But it was your standard Star Wars plot with three heroes that are going against impossible odds and somehow overcome them to save the galaxy. My bigger issue is I just feel like these last three movies, they don't tie together well. It just feels like there's a lot of I think retcon is what they term it as, like the fixing, the correcting of the storyline, the plot line of Star Wars, and it felt like there's a lot of over corrections, mostly because I know there's a large vocal fan base that didn't like The Last Jedi. And I think it probably stems from, I know the first one, The Force Awakens, is the 7th film that was done by J.J. Abrams. The Last Jedi, the 8th film, was done by Rian Johnson, I believe is his name. And then they came back to the 9th film, The Rise of Skywalker, with J.J. Abrams. And it kind of felt like in The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams created, he sprinkled in these plot points that Rian Johnson just kind of threw out the window, and then in The Rise of Skywalker, J.J. Abrams trying to piece them all back together again.
You know what we needed? We needed a little bit of Michael Bay. More Death Stars, just fucking shit blowing up. Actually, Christopher Nolan would probably have made a fucking
I agree.
riveting fucking Star
I'd have been
Wars.
lost though.
I like Star Wars, but I also like to get entertained. It's a clash. Same thing happens to me in these storyline video games where it's I get it, whatever, you have a fucking story, but if I don't like it, then I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. And you're allowed to not like it.
And I'm fucking allowed to not like it. Why is this mic? Come on, Mike, work with me here, people. I liked The Force Awakens, and maybe because it was I haven't seen a Star Wars in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked The Revenge of the Sith. The two prior to that,
yeah, Attack of the Clones was definitely rock bottom. That's for sure.
I mean, it felt very kiddie.
Yeah.
But then The Force Awakens, I have pardon my French, but I have an erection for Rey. And I have an erection for this guy right here,
Kylo Ren.
And I was like, these characters.
He touched
Kylo
Ren's mask.
Kylo Ren, by the way. I wish you would have kept the mask on for at least one whole movie. And
I wish the mask served more of a purpose. I guess the whole point is he is in love with his grandfather Darth Vader, who needed the mask, so he wore the mask. Okay, it did serve a purpose. I take it back.
I mean, it gives it a little sinister.
Yeah, he was desperate to become his grandfather, so he needed a mask.
Yeah,
he was the copycat.
I was one of those that wasn't a big fan of The Last Jedi, but primarily not because of like, again, the storyline, but more of like I just didn't feel like I was entertained. Am I not entertained? I was not. And then, well, we'll get to this last one. I'll let you kind of take over, but I was not a big fan of how this last one ended.
I guess if we're going to touch base on the previous movies, the Force Awakens, what I loved about it so much, and I get this kind of goes into whenever we talk about Call of Duty, when you get such a large fan base, when there's just going to be, everyone's going to have an opinion. You're not going to please everyone. And for all the people that love The Force Awakens for basically being the same plot as A New Hope, like I thought it was I thought they did a good job of.
I mean, Star Wars is like rinse and repeat to me.
I mean, they really, if you sit back and again, it's three heroes that are going against impossible odds that stop this galactic empire from this world destroying machine. But The Force Awakens, I thought, did a good job of kind of again, it's a new generation they're introducing this to, and they just kind of reintroduced it, and it kind of, I thought a lot of people took it as them copying rinse and repeat. I took it as more of paying homage to the movie. At least that's how I received it, and I guess you receive things through your own filter. The Last Jedi was just kind of much different than the rest. I think overall, I personally thought it was the most entertaining of the three movies. I just didn't like how they just kind of ignored some of the plot points that the first movie laid. They basically, like the whole Snoke, they just killed him. Okay, what was his purpose? The whole Rey not having her parents not being anything. When the first movie kind of was setting up her parents like meaning something, like the whole they're sprinkling in little plot points that, okay, we're gonna find out. We all thought is Luke Skywalker is gonna be her father, which I think ultimately would have been the correct direction to take. I believe that, like, just because the most obvious, I guess, twist doesn't make it the incorrect one. Sometimes, like, it's right there for you and take it.
So I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, if you guys saw the final one, you know
she's a Palpatine.
Yeah, who she is.
Ray Palpatine.
But
is Ray her real name? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think, and I think from how you answered this or what you just finished saying, I think I know the answer to my question. Do you think they knew when they were making The Force Awakens who Rey's parents were going to be?
Yeah, I think J.J. Abrams had, like, again, I think he 100% had an idea of what they're going to do. And I think originally J.J. Abrams was supposed to do all three movies, and he got burnt out with the first one. He's like, you guys are too intense. Like, I can't, I'm done with this.
He was probably reading the comments. You don't read the comments.
Well, no, like specifically like the Disney standpoint. Same thing with, damn it, I'm forgetting the name, Josh Whedon, who did the first two Avenger movies. The reason he didn't come back for like Infinity War or Endgame is because he was just like, Disney was too much. He's like, you guys are too much, man. I can't. I'm done. Like I can't handle you right now.
Is J.J. Abrams the same guy that does Star Trek too? Mm-hmm. What the fuck does he know? He's a Trekkie.
That's ironically, he is a Star Wars fan, I guess, but Star Trek is what kind of got him on the map. And not.
How dare you?
I never was a big fan of Star Trek, and then when he did those new movies, badass. I was like, by the way, I would. As a Star Wars fan, I think that trilogy he did is way better than this trilogy.
Yes.
I mean, I just think I guess I still love the universe of Star Wars. I'm just such a nerd that I don't like Attack of the Clones, but I'll still fucking watch it because I guess I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes to Star Wars. But those Star Trek movies are awesome.
This is what Star Wars, I think, does to me. And I know this is a little off subject, but the reason why I'll go back and rewatch some of these it's the same reason why I would go back and try a candy corn again, just in hopes that it's better.
Okay, not a compliment.
that they're just gonna, because there's a lot of times in all these movies that you got gold. No, you threw it down the well. What did you do? And blame it on whatever you want to blame it on, storyline or whatever the fuck. I feel like Star Wars has always come they've had great ideas. Like, take this last movie, for example. the fucking Knights of Ren. The coolest looking fucking evil guys in the last like 6 films, and they were in it for like, maybe if you were to piece every frame that they were actually in the film, it was maybe 3 minutes.
So my bigger issue is like they weren't in the movie enough. I don't mind that they just got obliterated by Kylo Ren and Rey so quickly, because they should. They're not
Right.
They're not Jedis or powerful Sith. However, it does add to a long line of awesome Star Wars characters that they introduced that do nothing, like Boba Fett. I guess Darth Maul did have a bit of a purpose. He did at least get a cool fight scene, and I guess he now has. It's proven, or it's shown he's still alive, I guess.
Which is them bringing him back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, we made this dope character that we killed off too quickly. But, let's introduce in this next movie a guy named Count Dooku who's boring, and we'll let him get into 2 movies. Yeah. But even I forget the name, like Captain Plasma or something, like Fellatio. I don't know. The Silver Stone. Yeah. I guess I could Google it, but I'm not going to do it right now. I didn't think I was going to be talking about her, but she's a good example of a character that you're like, wow, that's a dope looking stormtrooper, and she doesn't do shit. To bring back to go back to Last Jedi, I don't mind that they like Rey's parents have no like heritage, that they're nobody.
Captain Phasma.
Okay, I was close. I like Fellatio more. But I don't mind that they had no purpose, or they were nobody. If the point is like the Force, we can go into. We actually just watched this video of Freddie Prinze Jr. kind of explaining the Force of a dinner he had with George Lucas, and that kind of sheds light onto Rey's family being nobody. I just don't like the fact that in the 3rd movie, all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, no, she's Palpatine. Like, it just, and I don't even mind that she is a Palpatine. It just felt so like, even when they like, he's like, hey, by the way, you're his granddaughter, and she's like, oh, no. Like, it just was so awkward, the whole scene and everything. There's no like good build up for it.
Does she even know who the fuck Palpatine is? Why would she know who Palpatine is?
I mean, like, we know who Hitler is, so like we weren't. That's the point. Like, that is like the galaxy's Hitler.
We know, but we were kind of like first generation after Hitler.
I mean, she pretty much is too.
Is she?
I mean, she's, or maybe there's an extra decade in there.
Okay,
but I mean, he ruled.
I'm just saying,
with
kids nowadays are stupid. So,
I mean, she did come from like a junkered planet that I can't imagine there's much of an education there. Yeah, so I guess that's a good.
She grew up in the desert.
That's actually probably a good point, that she probably is far more intelligent than she really should be. But she's scrappy from the streets.
But it's like, you're a Palpatine. She's like, no.
Yeah.
No. Like,
I guess the one thing.
Who?
So I have read a couple articles about how in the first one they can kind of tie it in there that like, I don't know if you remember the scene when she grabs Luke's lightsaber. That came out weird. And like she has this like force,
yeah, go ahead and grab that lightsaber.
Yeah, he's like, oh wow, you got a nice firm grip. But the Force is strong with you. She has like the Force visions and everything.
Callous hands from all the climbing.
What was that?
She has callous hands from all the climbing.
And firm grip in general. Like she could rip that lightsaber right off.
Technically, who was it? Was it Joe Rogan was discussing this? It was a guest he had, a scientist. They were talking about like the possibility of a lightsaber. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, it's essentially like a laser that comes out. Lasers are literally weightless. So you essentially, what bothered him was that you don't have like a 50-foot lightsaber that you just go whoosh, and just take out like a whole mob of humans or whatever.
Which originally, the very first Star Wars movie, George Lucas wanted them to be like broadswords. So that's the reason they're like the Darth Vader Obi-Wan Kenobi battle. It's just like tink, tink, like they're just wielding them all slow. I mean, that's probably a nice creative standpoint when you have an old man.
Right.
But yeah, originally he wanted to be broadswords, and then I guess he changed his mind somewhere in The Empire Strikes Back, and that's why the fight between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker is a little bit more acrobatic, if you will, and then obviously it just kind of has stemmed much further from that. I mean,
lightsaber was like such a cool idea.
Mm-hmm. And now, like, the Force, you're able to get blown up in, like, a cockpit and then, like, just reverse time and be alive. But that was the number one plot point from The Last Jedi when when Kylo Ren, like, shoots whatever, blows up the cockpit, and she fucking goes out into the space, and then she just like reverses time, and she turns back time.
Yeah. Was that when they first introduced that she has
Power,
the Force? Yeah.
I'm trying to think. In the first one,
Because I thought it was kind of cool in
I mean,
in the last movie how she trained for a Jedi.
so originally that was always the idea, and unfortunately Carrie Fisher passed away, so like they had to work with that whatever scenes they had. So in the Return of the Jedi, obviously Luke tells her like you have the Force too. I think in the Force Awakens she might. I'd have to go back. I meant to watch the last two movies before we did this, so I'd be a little bit more prepared. But I think she like there's a couple like winks and nods. But yes, the Last Jedi is the first one. They're like, oh no, she's a Jedi.
Now, my thing about the Force that I always like didn't understand was it seems like it should be something that everyone has the ability to have as long as you tap into it. It's almost like Avatar.
Yeah, and they
remember Avatar when you. By the way, a lot of these movies rinse and repeat.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, sci-fi movies.
Yeah, except Alien and Predator. Those are the best ever. He what's his? I can't think of his name right now, but he had to be again in tune with.
His avatar,
They didn't call it Force; they called it some other thing.
Yeah.
But it was like, they didn't have mystical powers where they could like move objects, of course, but it was still the same.
Had become one with the creature he was
Right.
taking over.
But it was all about like knowing how to tap into it because Finn starts feeling it a little bit towards the end.
He did, so like I don't know if you've heard when he kept wanting to tell Rey something, everyone assumed it was "I love you," but instead
it was
it's
the Force. Well,
so.
there was another one that wasn't "I love you." That
Oh, I don't know what the other one was.
it's inappropriate.
Okay, well,
It has to do with him and what's his face?
Poe.
Yes.
Oh, that's a talking point we'll get to, but that's why like so one little things like the Force Awakens that annoyed me is he was able to put up a very like small battle with Kylo Ren, and I was like, Kylo Ren's like the shittiest fucking Sith. I mean, I guess they never say he's a Sith, but it turns out what's his face is he's Force sensitive.
Yeah, but I mean the Kylo Ren from the last movie versus the Kylo Ren in the Force Awakens that's a different monster.
Sure, but
they were shaking shit up. They were fighting in places they weren't really even standing in.
But yeah, I know that was confusing to me too.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
They blew up a fucking ship in the sky. That Kylo Ren would have fucked up Finn in the first movie.
But like what is I guess frustrating about that, to go back to maybe one of the now we're discussing little issues I had with the Force Awakens, is like he was trained as a Jedi by Luke, and then he went to the dark side. But like he can't. I know. Like I guess I get the point. The reason he can't battle Rey is there's some sort of connection there that he doesn't quite understand, and he can sense how powerful she is. And maybe now let's tie it back to Palpatine. Maybe he can sense like that in her, and he realizes like he can sense she's way more powerful than me, and so maybe he's a little timid, and that's the reason he like can't put up much of. The reason she's able to just fight, she has these dormant Force abilities that in this moment of despair she's able to access, and she doesn't really know how to.
Sounds a lot like Wonder Woman.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with.
Did you not see that movie?
I fell asleep during it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, same idea.
Yeah.
Something happened. She fucking freaks out, and all of a sudden, boom! She starts using her gifted abilities.
Pretty standard plot point in sci-fi films as well.
Yeah.
To go back to things, probably the turning point. I was enjoying the film for the most part, and like really, there's only one plot point that almost. It's crazy how much this specific thing is bothering me. I was cool with all like the time of Palpatine being the granddaughter of Palpatine or whatever, Finn being Force sensitive, whatever. The Star Destroyer fleet that had like planet destroying missiles or guns or that is just unnecessary. It's just completely it's just like to up the ante.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you brought up that point because that was one of the things that I really couldn't. If you remember a few episodes prior to this one, I was talking about how I get like involved into I put myself into movies. I'm like, okay, I'm in this movie. I dive in. When I saw that fleet, and then I see like the 5 planes that go in there. I'm like, how is this even a fucking fight? Like I couldn't. They tried selling me on that, and I said I don't want any part of that. Like I just couldn't. I couldn't convince myself that they have a fighting chance. Like it shouldn't. It shouldn't have happened the way it did. And I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying I want a movie where like the bad guys win and they fucking murder everyone, but
It's
it
gotta be
fucking
a
look
fight.
like
Yeah,
it.
like, so you were able to destroy the Death Star, and then destroy the Death Star
by
again,
one hit.
and then destroy the Star Killer. Like the same. It's just, I don't even remember how they destroyed the fleet in this last one either, because it really was a turn. Even like the line when like they destroyed the planet. I don't remember what planet they blow up, and then they're like, "Oh my God, that was destroyed by a Star Destroyer. That must mean." And then Poe goes, "They have planet-destroying rockets," or
It's
something
so
like that.
corny.
I'm like, even he like I feel like he in that moment tried to make it sound as corny as possible, and I don't know if like maybe that was like a little tongue-in-cheek sort of thing, like wink at the camera about how like sometimes corny this can get. So I'm okay. I could handle the fleet. I would have rather the fleet be a little bit small. I just think personally, the return of Palpatine was enough of a threat, and they just got to kind of cut the head off the snake sort of thing.
Yeah.
Send in a small team like Rey, and then obviously the turning of Ben Skywalker, whatever. We'll kind of touch on that, how I find that a little annoying too. But I think just trying to shut down Palpatine, I'm cool with like them building these ships in the background, and they again
Right.
kind of like in the Return of the Jedi when they were in the process of building the
Correct.
Death Star, but they stop it.
Have like a huge, like in the ice planet that we're in, like a huge, the same thing. It's like except instead of them flying in the sky, have them be on the ground being like built by little
And-
engineers.
Again, I would have taken it as like a bit of a homage to the Return of the Jedi. It would have been a nice little tie back. Tie back? Does that make tie vec? No, that's what you put around your house. But the whole, I guess let's go to the Ben Skywalker thing.
Just big issue with this.
One, I guess let's go to Emperor and Kylo Ren's relationship. I guess maybe Kylo Ren was somewhat manipulating the Emperor. I didn't like that first scene, and he's just like, oh, he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill Palpatine. Like he's like sweating, flying through this fucking asteroid field or something. Like, I'm gonna fuck this dude up. And then Palpatine's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And whatever, I get it, he's the most powerful being. And he manipulates people. It just felt like something that I would have rather like. That maybe when he killed Snoke in The Last Jedi, if they were planning to go this route, that's when maybe at the end of The Last Jedi, it's kind of revealed like, oh, Palpatine is alive, and he's like kind of in Kylo Ren's ear. I thought it'd been a nice way to connect the two, but again, I don't think that was the route they were planning on going. I don't mind him becoming Ben Skywalker or Ben Solo. Sorry. What I do mind is, so I guess when I first saw The Force Awakens, I'm like, I get what they're doing here. Rey is gonna be like the Luke Skywalker, and he's gonna be the Darth Vader. Kylo Ren's gonna be Darth Vader, and like in the third movie, they're gonna probably defeat Snoke together, while she turns him back to the light side. Whatever, right? It's all gonna come full circle. I'm cool with that. But in The Last Jedi, they had that moment, and he's like, fuck you, no. And I'm evil. That's it, I'm evil. I'm like, okay, so that's the route we're going. He's going to be the big bad in the third movie. I'm here for that. I guess I don't mind the way he turned in the movie. And I'll delve into that a little bit more. I just don't like the fact that, like, they had your moment in the second movie, it didn't happen, whatever. Just scrap the plot and go, he's evil, let's stick with that. Especially he ended up dying anyway.
I don't like the fact, or is he? Because remember, the Force has to be balanced. So there's one good one right now. There has to be another bad one somewhere.
There's definitely another bad one that's rising up. Again,
Of course. Whatever.
The Force balances itself.
I don't like how quickly Kylo Ren turned into Ben Solo. It reminded me a lot. I hate. I'm going to make the comparisons to other scenarios and other movies that annoy the fuck out of me. Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, you fucking hated each other, and in a moment of like 10 seconds, you're like,
one name.
I love you, bro. I love you too. And then they hug it out like, and it's what? How can you have so much hatred throughout so many movies? Going back to Star Wars, and then all of a sudden now you're like, Oh yeah. You know, fuck this dark side shit. It ain't working out. I just killed my dad a month ago, but you know, whatever.
About a week ago.
I couldn't. I'm a little under the weather.
Sound
so
like DMX right there.
Yeah.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer.
Hey, old bitch. Come on. It was another part of that movie that I just couldn't. I couldn't buy into it. Like I wasn't. I didn't feel it.
I was able to maybe understand. I guess one thing I took from it is
Ghosts. And,
I know. I definitely thought someone was just about to open that door. I thought like your daughter was here
I
opening.
mean, my
the door.
wife is upstairs.
Yeah, but your daughter's at daycare, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's definitely a ghost.
Okay. It's a ghost then. That ghost has seen some things.
His penis. He's referring to his penis. I understood that like that specific like plot point was kind of hard to land that plane, if you will, with the fact that Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed away before the filming of this movie. So it came off a little awkward. Her like sacrificing her life to kind of turn him. They weren't able to like. I get why they. I assume Harrison Ford was never going to be in this movie. I assume that specific ghost they saw, or I guess flashback, was like supposed to be Carrie Fisher, but obviously they couldn't do it because she passed away. I get like even like Ray was able to heal him from the lethal blow. But I'm a child. I hear the word blow and I chuckle. But yeah, it was a little clunky if you ask me.
Yeah, I again, it's like, sure, do they show him having second thoughts technically throughout all three movies? Yeah, they do.
It's his whole like that's which I think one of the best things, and I think it has more to do with Adam Driver because he's an amazing actor, is his confliction throughout the whole movies is probably the number one best part of the whole movie, the whole series for me at least.
Right, like you're waiting for him to completely go towards one side versus the other.
Though I was hoping in this one, the way Last Jedi ended, he's like, fuck it, all evil. I was hoping that's the route they're going to go.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I thought the ending should have been. Two of them. I would have been cool with these
I have
two.
a few different ones, but yeah.
One, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. How they were fighting in different spots. After Kylo Ren gets thrown off the cliff, he comes back and kills Palpatine and takes in all the Sith without him even being there. And that's kind of what brings him back to life. Because I'm going to guess that he was dead down there, but his Force ghost or whatever came up and then disappeared.
Oh yeah, that's right. He does fall off. I forgot. Like okay.
So and that brings him back.
It's probably a plot hole that they're cool without. Like, let's get him back in the scene.
Or they just tag team Palpatine, make it a more. Again, I don't want to go on a tangent, but how they end that movie in terms of a fight scene was really stupid and lame. I mean, this is like. Once again, they did this shit with Batman vs. Superman. You got your big number one nemesis, and he's axed in like 10 seconds. And I get it. Rey's a powerful, Jedi and whatever. I mean, the fight scenes prior to that was so cool. And now you're going to end it with a combination of like Raiden and, I don't know. I did not buy into that. But, so Kylo Ren becomes, like you said, an all-powerful Sith Lord. Just takes all of them, but maybe almost like in a way, his way to stop the dark side is by him taking over the dark side and just kind of like, we're done doing this shit, guys. Let's stop with the fucking Death Stars and all these, or him and Rey fucking kill Palpatine and it's happily ever after, and then just end it there. And it's it's sappy or whatever, but it's like, I mean, there was sexual tension from the beginning, whatever.
I definitely think someone had to die. I'm cool with it. I would have rather been the other way around. I think I would have rather, they would have had to structure the movie differently, but I would have rather ultimately like the storybook ending being like she turns to the dark side after like she brings him to the light side. Palpatine eventually like she turns her because like their blood, whatever. I guess the dark side's hereditary. I'm not sure. And Ben Solo ends up saving the day, and he begins like training the future Jedi. However, now hindsight being 2020, or in my case 2015, because that's my vision now. Hashtag LASIK plus. Is kind of similar to the way Last Jedi, how they took out Snoke. I would have thought it'd been cooler if, like, all of a sudden Kylo Ren. I guess that scene with Snoke couldn't happen, and then. I mean,
Had the same scenario.
Exactly, like that scene would have never happened in Last Jedi. It would have been they're gonna punt it to Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Kylo Ren ends up killing, like, all of a sudden kills the Emperor or Snoke, whoever is the what do they call the head? I forget what Snoke's name was. It wasn't the Emperor, but it's like not headmaster or something. Like, anyway.
Oh yeah.
Kylo Ren had become the new one. It doesn't matter. Anyway, they kill the main bad guy the same way, and then it ends with like she thinks, oh, he came to the light side. He's like, no, you're coming to the dark side, and it ends in like an awesome epic fight that I guess ultimately she would win at that point because he's become fully to the dark side. I think that would have been way cooler. But yeah, I definitely, I guess the epic lightsaber battle was between her and him on that like rainy planet or whatever. I was expecting a cooler lightsaber battle at the end, which ultimately was not there.
No, it wasn't at all. Or even a longer fight with the Knights of Ren. Like, just, going back to Knights of Ren, I think the Knights of Ren should have been introduced in The Force Awakens and have them.
Oh, there's like a second clip of them.
And where?
In The Force Awakens.
Where?
When she has that flashback scene, it flashes for a second, like literally, like maybe 2 seconds.
Introduce them like for you video game enthusiasts, like the Nemesis in Resident Evil, where they just keep popping up, and you're like, who the fuck are these guys?
He should have been rolling with them the whole time, and he should the best way would have introduced them is that very first scene that you meet Kylo Ren. Instead of having Stormtroopers wipe out all those people, have the Knights of Ren wipe them all out.
Yeah. Like
they're
without
ruthless.
guns, just like literally like Vikings, just go in there and start chopping heads off. What was I gonna say? I forget. Keep going.
Oh God.
Okay.
Pass it back.
Here's another crazy scenario that again, listen. I don't like. I'm gonna say right now, I don't like when lead actors or actresses. And there's no sex when I say actor. I think it's just both. But just in case. I don't like when a character of mine that I like or enjoy, or just a lead, dies at the end. Unless he goes out with a bang. Kylo Ren does not go out with a bang. Goes out with a kiss, get it? I think it would have been kind of neat if, like, he's dead or he's dying, and Darth Vader's ghost comes and brings him back. It's his fucking grandson, for fuck's sakes. Or have him somehow be in there somewhere. I think they could have used a little bit more Force ghosts. Maybe a Yoda in there. Just, I don't know. I felt like that was neat. I read somewhere that was going to be a thing, and it got, because I forgot where I read that, what's his name? Hayden? Is that his name? Hayden Christensen was going to make an appearance. His voice is there.
That was
shit. Speaking about the voice thing, the lamest part about this fucking movie is when all the little Jedis are like, "Come on!" I can't put my voice that high because it's a little hoarse right now. But they're all like,
"You can do it!
Let's go, Rey! Come on, Rey! You can get up, Rey!
The Force is strong with you."
And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
I actually like it.
And she's just getting up like Rocky. And I'm like, what the fuck is I thought it was so fucking corny. At least have Mick was like, get up, Rock,
I appreciated the callback that they had like every Jedi ever in like the Star Wars series.
That's why they did
like,
it
even
for
the
all
ones
the
from
fucking nerds.
Even the ones, well, I mean,
they're like, oh, did you hear?
Yeah,
that was Hayden Christensen,
Yeah, I mean, they are making the movie for someone.
I'm just saying it could have been a little bit more badass. But again, I get it. They want to be cheesy. But if you're going to go with like that type of spiritual shit, bring Darth Vader to bring back his fucking grandson.
It's like the equivalent of bringing like Terminal back to a Call of Duty Modern Warfare or something. It's like the equivalent of adding a old map to a new game.
But nobody liked Terminal back in Modern Warfare.
It's the only
2.
one I could think of.
Nobody.
I couldn't think of any other ones.
When they use fan favorite, I don't know who the fuck likes that.
Freddie Prinze Jr. is one of the voices because he plays a Jedi in one of the cartoons that my son is currently watching on Disney Plus. It's Star Wars Rebels. I love Freddie Prinze Jr. By the way, I'm upset I didn't put him as one of my crushes when we did the Crush episode.
Yeah, he was in 24. I was a fan of
he
him.
was in
Yeah.
24. That's right.
I
And he's
think
married to Sarah Michelle Gellar,
season
who also
7
should have been
for a
one of my
long
crushes.
time.
Yeah.
For a long
No,
time.
they're a success story.
Yeah, you don't see that shit in Hollywood.
Jinkies. Oh wait, wrong one.
He, I don't know. I feel like he could have done more. Like
I think he was a product of the times. I don't think he really has much range as an actor. And
yeah, but I mean, nowadays they could find. I mean, Batista's doesn't have range as an actor, and they still find a way to. I'm saying nowadays, I think if Freddie Prinze Jr. was around now, not that he's dead, but like if he was like youthful now, they would find more stuff for him. Back then, it was really like I feel like actors and actresses used to get typecasted.
I was gonna say, speaking of rinse and repeat movies, just every one of his movies is like the same thing.
Well, because that's what he was used for, because he was typecast, and then that kind of like fucked him over. Nowadays, I think
he did all right.
I don't think people get typecast that much, but I loved his fucking character in 24.
Yeah, I loved it.
He was like
Can't Hardly Wait.
He was like that one guy who was like always challenging. I mean, it was annoying because he's always challenging Jack Bauer, but whatever.
She's All That. I'm sorry, I meant to say She's All That, not Can't Hardly Wait. He might be in both of those.
I remember She's
Paul
All
Walker.
That.
Paul Walker's also in She's All That.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, is he one of the jocks?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's his buddy he has the bet with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And by the way, I forget the chick's name who plays the main actress. But man, talk about high school crushes.
Yeah, I like how she developed.
Yeah.
She went through puberty
I liked her better as a nerd. I felt like it was attainable.
All of a sudden she's too hot. He's like, no,
I'm like, damn it.
I
Well,
can't talk
on
to
the
you.
next.
Can't talk to you now. So I guess you want to talk about the Mandalorian, or I mean, are we done with?
There's a couple more things on this. Number one, to go back to, I guess I kind of touched on this, but Adam Driver is an amazing actor. He's probably like the best actor to ever be in a Star Wars. I'm not talking about the biggest one because like obviously Harrison Ford he's an action star, but like Natalie Portman, she's got like some vicious acting chops. Ewan McGregor,
as in like quality.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not as far as like box office appeal. No one's touching Harrison Ford. Like he's crushing anyone in all those movies.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to count the Solo movie. God damn it! Why can't I think of? He's from Zombieland. Why am I having a brain fart?
Oh yeah.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
There it is. I just kept wanting to say Harrison Ford over and over. Woody Harrelson's got some, but I mean, he plays a smaller role.
I mean, I like Adam Driver for the fact that when Kylo Ren was first introduced, he was badass with the helmet, all that stuff. When he took the helmet off, I was like,
yeah,
get a load of this nerd. And then he won me over. Like I was like, I know when an actor or a character or both wins me over when I can't wait until they come up again in a scene. One that I could just think of right now is Gangs of New York. What's his name? Bill the Butcher? Was it Bill?
Yeah.
Man, was his fucking character just riveting. Like, I could not wait until he was on the screen again. That's kind of how I felt about watching Kylo Ren. Adam Driver. Even though when my first initial thoughts, I was like, nice hair, bro. What is it, the 70s? You know, like, you gonna dance? You gonna do some Saturday Night Fever on us? Like, but
I mean, it might have been the fashion is a little weird in a galaxy far, far away. The movies.
Weird.
The movies from. That is actually a good point. That these movies have aged like 60 years, but like the fashion in their galaxy really hasn't changed much.
No.
Daisy Ridley, I think, is a good actress. I think
love her. She's so fucking adorable. I don't even see her as like I was gonna say something really bad. I don't like her as in like sexually like her. Like I just find her adorable.
Yeah,
you know, like she's just really riveting. Like I can't. That's another person that I'm like, I'm into her. I'm into her character.
She definitely hits me with a Natalie Portman feels.
Yeah.
As far as not the same, but if I was a 14-year-old boy when this movie came out, I'd probably be like, "Oh, I'm in love with."
I don't know what I'm doing next time I shower. Her smile, she has like that like ear to ear smile, where it's very not that she uses it in the movie a lot, but like in real life, she has like a great smile, perfect teeth.
I will say that I think they did a better job in these. One thing I've always thought that the original trilogies did a terrible job, and kind of the second ones did too, was casting people. I think George Lucas just had a vision. This guy looks like Luke Skywalker. This girl looks like Princess Leia. This guy looks like Anakin Skywalker. This guy looks like Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor. And some of them he hit on. Like, I think Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor did a great job. I think Hayden Christensen. I don't dislike Hayden Christensen, but I think he wasn't ready for that role. It also was kind of written poorly. I think a good example of Kylo Ren's character is very much like Hayden Christensen's character as Anakin, kind of being this like moody, broody character. But he does a great job of adding like layer to it, while Hayden was just like, I love you. It hurts me inside.
You know who would have been a good Anakin? Except that I think he would have been
Freddie Prinze Jr.
No, he definitely would have been too young.
I think he was too old at that time.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, he would have been way too young at that time.
Yeah, he would have been like.
He could have played the first Anakin.
Yeah, but he does a good dead face where I feel like once he starts like, I felt like Hayden Christensen was too whiny when he was like going to the dark side, like they don't know, you know, and it's like.
But I also like add some of that to like those movies were directed by George Lucas.
Right, that might not be his fault.
Yeah, I've always thought like George Lucas has had a. Even like if you watch A New Hope compared to Empire Strikes Back is not directed by George Lucas, and that is, I think, pretty universally renowned as like the best Star Wars movie. That's a good example of when it came out, though. It wasn't like a lot of fans were upset how dark it got, and that's the reason like Return of the Jedi is so cheesy. So I wonder if we'll go back and be like, a lot of people are pissed off at The Last Jedi, how they kind of broke some of the rules. I wonder if like a decade from now we're gonna be like, that is actually a pretty fucking awesome movie. They should just kept going with that.
I do enjoy the old ones.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, you got to get past the whole effects.
Yeah, but it's still kind of...
They're still good.
Yeah.
I just rewatched all three of them, being technically episode 4, 5,
yeah,
4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
I had a great time. Mm-hmm. Better than...
I think they're actually... They hold up...
1, 2, and 3.
I think, and as far as like special effects go, I think they hold up better than 1, 2, and 3, because they use so much special effects that seems so outdated and corny now.
It's like Wolverine's claws. And,
yeah. It's in the Wolverine. No. I think Wolverine X-Men Origins.
Yes.
Origins. But it just comes off cheesy. Like even like the droids, I'm like, oh wow, this is like worse than the video game. Like the new video game that's out now is better special effects than this.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing, one thing, I'm 100% all about Star Wars being progressive and everything. I have no problem with it and everything. I know like there's a lot of people had issues with like the lesbian kiss at the end of the movie. It just felt it felt forced. They're like, oh hey, oh look, there's lesbians in this world, and they just show like a 2-second clip. And this is the reason I have an issue with it. Is they had a organic storyline right there in front of them with Finn and Poe. Those motherfuckers wanted to fuck, and they were DTF. They had it right there laid out for them.
In their defense, there's a lot of sexual tension in all Star Wars movies.
Sure, I mean,
I
Luke
feel like
kissed his sister.
Most of these things would have been just solved if they would have just got in a room and banged one out, whoever they are.
Jedi, that's kind of one of their flaws. Is they're like, you can't fuck nobody. You're like a monk.
That's the problem. Have we not gone through history to realize that shit don't work?
But I just think Finn, this is my personal opinion, Finn and Poe's relationship, from like their chemistry outweighed every single person's chemistry in all the movies. And it just felt so like I'm all for representation. I am 100%. I can handle a main lead being gay, homosexual, whatever. I'm cool with it. But like, just don't force it down our throats with just a kiss that you can edit out of the movie.
Nothing motivates me more than two women kissing. I did not get offended when I saw that. I got offended that I didn't see enough of it.
That's what I'm trying to get at. It wasn't exactly.
But you gotta
it wasn't enough.
make it seem natural.
Yeah.
You can't have it like I'm going to try to make everybody happy and make like this just multicultural, cast and like all types of like what's the word?
Just representation.
Yeah, and try to just let it flow naturally. You want to have two guys up there naked doing it, just making some sweet love.
Yeah.
I don't give a flying fuck as long as it makes sense.
I agree.
I mean, I'm sure I'm comfortable. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there be like, I don't see no two dudes because I don't give a fuck. Just make it seem natural.
Like, it reminds me of the whole Marvel universe has done a great job of just, empowering all different anyone. And they've done specifically their female characters. But in like the end game, that one scene when they're like, girl power, I'm like,
why?
Yeah, it just felt like they just let them be badass and don't there's a good example of like Infinity War. They kind of have like a girl power scene, but it happens so naturally. It doesn't feel like it's forced on you.
Right.
Game of Thrones does an awesome job of empowering their women without trying to just, I don't know, make it feel forced. Just do a better job of writing characters naturally. I suppose I'm trying not to sound like a meathead about this because like one of my favorite characters is Black Widow. I love Black Widow's character. I think Captain Marvel is awesome. And I can't wait for the Black Widow movie. The Captain Marvel movie is, I really enjoy it. But then they just like force shit down your throat and that. I'm like, they were kicking ass already. Just let them keep kicking ass.
Right. Listen, there's movies out there. This is what I have a problem with, and this is going to go on a little tangent, but I'm gonna bring it back quick. But it just annoys me because, for example, Elizabeth Banks? She made a comment saying that no one liked Charlie's Angels because it was like an all women like lead cast. Shut the fuck up. Maybe because your movie sucked. I don't like when like things like that get taken and like forced on you. Like there's Black Widow, Captain Marvel. Like those are natural leaders that, first of all, a good fucking movie and good fucking characters. Maybe it has something to do with your casting. Kristen Stewart. There's just, I don't like when it's like, when they make it that thing. There's movies out there where like the female's the lead role and no one gives a fuck. It's a great movie. All your Resident Evils, lead role, Mia Yoda, fucking Jovovich.
Aliens, probably the best example.
Ellen fucking Ripley in Aliens. Like, talk about like the strongest fucking woman in like a sci-fi, movie. And no one has a fucking issue with it.
This, I guess, I actually 100% agree with her.
I'm lightheaded.
I agree with her statement 100%. I think it's accurate. But because like, does she want to go watch the movie Commando? Is that movie so did she make Charlie's Angels for me to go out and watch? Probably not.
No,
so I'm not going to go watch it. It's okay. It could be a fantastic movie, and I probably will eventually watch it one day when it's on like Netflix. But is she going to go watch Commando with Arnold or like Predator? Is that a movie that's probably appeals to her? Probably not.
Right.
And so like, is it wrong for her not to go watch it? No. Like,
because there's a bunch of dudes blowing up.
Like the statement could be accurate. Without, I guess, being offensive. I don't know. I guess I didn't go see Charlie's Angels because like I fear girl power. But I watched Spice World. But it just, I don't know. By the way, I like the very first, the Charlie's Angels with Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu. And Bill Murray. Man, who else do I know in this movie?
I just thought of a great fucking example.
But I enjoy that movie. I don't remember the second one too well, but like I'm just not interested in the movie. I'm sorry that like it doesn't like land on my queue list.
I don't care who you pick to be the lead or if you want to represent different whatever, you know, in your
Race,
movies,
sex.
race,
Yeah.
sex, religion. I don't care as long as it's like just put in there comfortably and it flows with the movie. I don't need for it to be like someone holding a sign. Look to the back. There's two chicks. One's white, one's black. And look, they're holding hands. Like, stop with that shit. Like, unless it's again a natural part of the fucking movie.
If it's a key, like, it's no different. By the way, I would have been cool with like Rey, and let's talk about romance, heterosexual romance that I think was unnecessary. Rey and Kylo Ren kissing then. I thought it was unnecessary. You didn't need it.
No.
Like, don't just have romance in a movie just to fucking have it.
And let's say this. You know there were people going to be upset if Rey and Finn would have had a relationship.
Oh yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, the same people that have a problem with the two lesbians kissing have a problem with Finn and Rey kissing.
It's interesting. It's the same
Yeah.
people. I would have had an issue with it just because I feel like Finn isn't
Actually,
masculine enough.
now that I think about it, I would have rather Rey, Finn, and Poe had a relationship. You know, that's really hit that like more of an open relationship.
Yeah, like a Twilight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
now I like this movie again.
yeah, exactly. Like, if we really want to be progressive, let's blow the fucking doors off this thing.
Yeah, and she's empowered to do that.
Yeah, I want to see her peg them. You guys can, you can Google pegging, unless my niece or nephew are listening to this. Wait a few years.
God damn.
to wrap this thing up in a bow.
Wait, we gotta talk about the Mandalorian.
I'm wrapping up the
Oh,
Rise of
okay.
Skywalker, and then
Okay.
we're gonna segue to Mandalorian.
All right.
In a vacuum, thought it was a good movie. Thought it had all this.
Who?
The Rise of Skywalker in a vacuum. If you just
Oh,
watch
okay.
it individually, without like adding the parts of the other two movies in, felt very Star Wars. I think it even with all the loose ends they kind of tie up, you could still watch this movie first and totally be engulfed in it without. I actually think this movie would have been better if I'd never saw any Star. If I just watched this movie by itself, I think I would have liked it more. Bob Iger, I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, is the CEO of Disney. He recently had an interview. It could have been a couple months ago or so. He was basically talking about the direction that they're going to take with Star Wars, and I know a big issue was with Solo wasn't very successful, at the theaters and such. It didn't make as much money as they would have liked. And he kind of put it on Star Wars fatigue. He thinks they should kind of scale it back and maybe space them out a little bit, which I agree. He also mentioned that they might be moving away from the trilogy model and just kind of do individual movies. Not saying they can't tie together, but not like, let's do 3 parts. Let's do 1 part, and like maybe if it ties together, maybe almost similar to how Marvel's done such a great job of, they have all these individual movies that all weave together. You don't necessarily have to see Iron Man to see Thor to see Captain America. It definitely makes it better.
Right.
When you get near the end of the run, obviously that's also they tie 22 movies together. So once you get to like Avengers Endgame, you kind of need to see all the movies.
Right.
But for the most part, you still can probably see it without watching all the movies and enjoying it. Which also Kevin Feige, I think I said his name correctly, is the head of Marvel. I guess he's gonna get his own Star Wars project as well. I don't know if it's a trilogy. I don't know if it's a Disney Plus thing, but he gets
Thank fucking God.
Yeah, he's gonna helm his own Star Wars project. So I'm definitely interested in that.
Oh, yeah, 'cause it's probably gonna get better. It's gonna be hard for me to watch this movie again without because I know the ending and it's gonna piss me off, and I'm just not gonna be into it. Like The Force Awakens, I see every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just, I felt just unsatisfied at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's really good. Incomplete.
Yeah, incomplete.
I don't want to give it an
Yes.
F. It's like an incomplete.
Right, yeah.
worse.
Take this away, redo it, come back and show me what you got. I just hope that, I'm glad that they're stopping with the whole trilogy thing. I just hope that the next one that they make, whatever they're going to start, whether it's a continuation of Rey or introducing the bad guy, whoever that is next, whatever it is, whatever that they do next, they stop with this paying homage to the old, which is fucking, they never existed. Let's start fresh and stop using the same fucking rinse and repeat plots. Like, just try to be a little original.
I agree. And so I think Rian Johnson is going to get, I think he actually is going to get his own trilogy. So I know I just kind of contradicted myself, but I remember reading, I don't know if it's official that he's going to get, I know he's getting his own Star Wars project. And I'm really interested to see what he does. Like, I really would have liked to see J.J. Abrams do all three of these movies and then I think The Last Jedi is the best of these three movies, but I think it also creates the most issues with tying these three movies together. So I would have rather they both did their own separate projects. There's a video game called the Knights of the Old Republic. It came out in like 2002-ish on Xbox. It is by far my favorite piece of Star Wars anything.
Is it on GameCube too?
I'm sure. I got it on Xbox. I'm sure it's on like PlayStation and such. But which I think I've been meaning to kind of like research where Rey's character was influenced by. Just there's a character in Knights of the Old Republic. Her name's Bastila, I think is her name, if I remember correctly. She's very like probably the first like most powerful female, like the first female Jedi I can think of. I guess they kind of say Leia is at the Return of the Jedi, but she's like the first, like she has like a British accent. She's like literally like the same build as Rey. She has a dopey yellow lightsaber. That's one thing I forgot. Okay, one more thing I need to touch on. I desperately wanted to see Rey use a yellow lightsaber. I think it's the coolest color, and I've played like the video games. I've seen like they have customization and things like that. So I was a little butthurt that like she didn't use one, but at the very end when they showed her yellow lightsaber, I'm like, oh, okay, I feel better now.
I thought it was cool. I'm just hoping if they're gonna bring her, like, I don't know what the plan is with her. I definitely would want to see it. That's how she opened it too. Like it was like a safety and a gun. Like, zzz.
I wonder. Part of the reason I assume Kylo Ren was killed because I assume like Adam Driver is just too big of a like he's gonna be like the next like Leonardo DiCaprio. He's just gonna do like a movie every like 3 years that's gonna be like critically acclaimed all the time, and like Star Wars is beneath him. I don't know if Daisy Ridley's at that point. I honestly thought they were gonna kill themselves going into this, like kill each other battling. The Emperor, that is, just because I assume they're like, yeah, we don't really want to do these films anymore.
Speaking of that scenario, like the same thing with like Christian Bale and Batman, can we start like making contracts with these people where we're like, listen, you're tied down to this character until we fucking say so?
He said he would have done the fourth one. The only reason he didn't, so they wanted, of course, Warner Brothers wanted a fourth Batman, but Christopher Nolan was done with it, and he said he would only come back if Christopher Nolan directs it.
Fuck you, Nolan. But I mean,
Regardless, have him sign the contract.
Yeah, like
he is the overseer of all Warner Brothers now.
Like they need because I hate when I can't see more movies because these actors and actresses are like, we just want to do other things, and no, fuck you. You know,
dance clown.
Yeah, okay. Your other movies usually are ass anyway, unless you're Christian Bale.
Yeah.
But just I don't know, man. He's having them like sign these like longer contracts. Robert Downey Jr. Oh, speaking about Robert Downey Jr., did you hate or did you feel like they kind of took a little bit of Marvel when Rey was like, "I am the Jedi" or something? When she was like looking at the at the screen and she's like, I think she says, "I am the Jedi," where it felt very like I am Iron Man.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like the main character having a close up at a crucial point in the movie saying something similar to that is kind of a cut and paste thing itself.
I felt it was lame. I felt it was again forced.
I'm not saying it's usually corny. I mean, Vin Diesel's made a career out of looking at the camera. First time it was cool. Now it's like, okay, this is getting. I think it's the SNL skit that really ruined that for me. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know if there's much more to touch on there. I guess we can move it on to Mandalorian. Speaking, actually, you want to talk about Mandalorian and like Marvel Universe tie-ins. Like Jon Favreau is the one who directed it, and he is a crucial part of the Marvel universe.
You do Iron Man?
Yeah, Iron Man 1 and 2. He plays Happy.
Yeah. For those that don't know who he is.
He's the security guard of / like chauffeur of Iron Man. And then if you've seen the last Spider-Man, you can see he's kind of a mentor to Peter Parker. But actually, he's got like some low-key like Mandalorian, I think, is awesome. Obviously, the Iron Mans are awesome. He also directed Elf.
Really?
Yeah, so which is just like drastically opposite, but also like I think kind of obviously every year come December it's a staple for everyone.
Right.
It's just this it's almost like a movie that transcends other movies, if you ask me, because like every Christmas we gotta watch Elf, things like that. I guess ultimately he does a great when a project is in his hands, he takes really good care of it. And Mandalorian is the best piece of like Star Wars. I think since Disney has had Star Wars, this is the best product they've put out.
I enjoy The Mandalorian a lot. I also enjoyed it for reasons as simple as I love Gina Carano. She, I loved her back when she was a UFC
Fast
fighter.
And Furious reference.
Yes, she is in. She's in Fast 6, I think.
Yeah, she's way better in Mandalorian than she's in that movie. I don't know if she gets a line in that movie.
She's also in Deadpool.
She is?
Yeah, Deadpool.
The first one?
The first one. Yep.
I don't remember.
She was a girl that, well, obviously the girl, but that he had a fight. She was part of the bad guys. But anyway, I've always found her to be obviously attractive, and I'm excited that she didn't just. I thought for a second they were just gonna sneak her in as like just one quick little episode. And they brought her back. I don't know if I'm guessing they brought her back because that was the plan. Because they don't film episode by episode.
And she also was part of like the pre, the advertising. I guess the I can't think of what to call it, but yes, she's on a lot of like the programs and such when they advertise the show, like to be a crucial. Part of the show. I'm
excited for her just because, like, just as I got excited for when The Rock became an actor, or even Batista that I just made fun of. But just when these people like move their careers for their own well-being and they hit, and
I think she's actually a pretty decent actress. I don't know how much range she has, but I thought she did awesome.
I mean, she had small roles like here and there, and I'm just glad that like now she. I mean, when you land a Marvel or a Star Wars role and they don't kill you off, like you're gonna be set.
And she does offer like legitimacy to the role. Like she's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, and she is in real life a bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
like she, obviously, she was from a different era of female MMA. I think they're a little more aggressive now and tougher now. I think better skilled, better trained.
Just like every like. I mean, any sport, if you ask, it always evolves.
You're right. It's a different era. There's more females fighting.
So Back then, she wasn't fighting before, maybe she influenced other fighters.
Yeah. I mean, I think her last fight was against Chris Cyborg, and Cyborg fucked her up bad.
I mean, Cyborg's a scary motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, Cyborg has been, I'm not saying she has... accused, I guess.
I thought she did test positive for doping.
Doping. Yeah, well, you could dope in certain
like
different
like didn't she fight for Pride or something like that?
Pride, yes, Pride, which I heard is really sketchy when it comes to their testing. I don't know. I think Bellator's gotten better.
Because isn't that the reason? Because it took her a minute to make it to the UFC, right?
Right.
And I thought that was the reason is because she was allegedly doping.
Yeah. Regardless, she did get... what she did to Gina Carano, they did to her in a round, her last fight. So, which was pretty, just full circle. It's full circle.
I mean, they all eventually fall.
Yeah, everyone. Listen, this isn't boxing. All it takes is one mistake.
Yeah, and by the way, if you wanted to use Mayweather as an example of a guy that's gone undefeated, it's because he's been very in the late portion of his career, he's strategically picked his opponents. Let's see him go against one of the young bucks.
Yeah, it's probably scary because there's no like tape on him. Even though he is coming out of retirement, I don't know who he's gonna fight.
Is he really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I don't.
He needs that money. maybe he doesn't have that much money left buying all those stupid ass Rolexes.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the Mandalorian. What I thought was so cool about the Mandalorian is every episode was like a little movie. It was movie quality.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, like it's when you watch like a TV show, like even 24 that had a huge budget, you could tell that you're watching a TV show. But I mean, 24 is as close to a movie as you're gonna get when it comes to like a TV show. But the Mandalorian was like, this is a fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it had like a movie budget.
Right.
One thing I thought
not with Disney. Got
I
a lot
think
of money.
Yeah, they got a decent amount. They only bought the Disney franchise for $4 billion.
Just a little bit.
Sorry, did I say Disney franchise? I'm going to say Star Wars franchise for $4 billion. I think they're really savvy with how they created the movie too, because there's not a whole lot of special effects. It's more like the puppets and such, and that's what I loved about it. It felt like I mentioned how the Rise of Skywalker felt like Star Wars, and just like the plot, it was kind of corny, but in like a sort of lovable way.
Right.
Again, this was like it felt like a gritty, like it reminded me of the New Hope / Empire Strikes Back. It felt gritty, but obviously freshened up, and probably a lot more attention to detail than those other movies were. And obviously, the thing I appreciate the most about it is how they refused, spoiler alert again, the Baby Yoda reveal. The fact that they refused to have any merchandising or anything like that until the reveal of it. I just appreciate keeping that, because if they were to merchandise, if they wanted merchandise out the week that came out, then we would have known that what is this little Yoda thing? It's got to be from the Mandalorian. So I appreciate them willing to lose a little bit money, which I don't think they did. I saw it was estimated they lost like $2.5 million by not having him ready for Christmas, which they're gonna still get back.
Yeah, because I think, and I said this, I think on my retail podcast, I think it pays now to not whore yourself out with merchandise, but to keep it more. There's gonna be a select, like the whole Yeezy, idea. There's a lot of companies, actors, teams, whatever you want to, call yourself, that they follow the same model, and it's a guarantee sellout. Like you're going to sell everything. So I feel like if the not putting him out there early is going to end up helping.
They're going to sell those no matter what. Like there's zero chance of whether it was ready November 1st or it was ready March 1st. They're going to sell them. And by the way, Disney can afford to lose $2 million, because I guess with all that said, I wonder how much extra money Mandalorian could be bringing in, because people were so positive about it. Like, are more people subscribing to Disney Plus? Those numbers I don't have in front of me, and I don't know how well you can weigh those numbers. But ultimately, when the Baby Yoda merchandise comes out, Disney's doing fine. They're all right.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I would like to see them move from a little bit is they did more episodic. Their approach to this season was more episodic, which means like every episode kind of stands alone. Yes, like Baby Yoda was the central, like keeping him alive really was the central theme of the show. But like you could watch episode 6, and obviously maybe you have to watch episode 1 to understand who Baby Yoda is. But then you can pretty much skip between any part of the show and not really miss a thing until maybe the last couple episodes.
Right, you might not know who Gina Carano's
exactly.
character is.
But I ultimately would rather them take a serial approach, or like treat like a mini series, if you will, and have more overarching themes throughout the second season.
Where like it ends and you're like, oh, I can't wait till next week, kind of thing.
And they had a cliffhanger a little bit at the end.
I don't. Yeah, they did, but here's a negative about The Mandalorian, and it could just be me. I didn't find that last, like, I don't know how much that last bad guy is going to be a part of the show or part of the, the topic of that story, but I didn't find him dark side enough. Felt like he belonged in in a band.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I thought he was fine. He felt he was just like a high level Imperial trooper.
But he had that crazy blade with a lightsaber thing.
The dark blade.
Yeah.
The dark saber. So that is actually, I was reading about So there's a couple things I liked about the show as far as like tying in like Easter eggs. One, I referenced the Knights of the Old Republic. They definitely reference So Knights of the Old Republic, the game has never been like tied into Star Wars until both Rise of Skywalker and this Mandalorian do a couple tie-ins. I guess there is a visual dictionary, I think they call it. Encyclopedia, sorry, mixed it up. Of the Rise of Skywalker, which it's just basically like they tie more into some of what's going on in the background scenes. And one of the things is I guess this planet that the Emperor was on, they have like, you know how he had these minions? He has different levels of minions, and one is like called like the Riven conglomerate. I fucking forget what it's called. Anyway, that's the main character in Knights of the Old Republic. And then they reference the battle between the Jedi and the Mandalorians a while back. And in Knights of the Old Republic, there's a battle between Mandalorians and the Jedi. They even specifically talk about Mandalore. I didn't know if they're speaking of like the planet. So in Knights of the Old Republic, you go to Mandalore, the planet, and you face off against Mandalore, the head of the Mandalorian. So I don't know how they're not very clear about it in the Mandalorian show.
Well, don't they in the show say that Mandalorian is not a race of people; it's a creed?
It's a creed, yeah.
So why would they have a planet?
So that's in the Knights of the Republic. I don't know. Mandalore called it Mandalore. I don't know. I guess so. That was another thing I was wondering how they're going to tie it together, because in the Knights of the Old Republic game, they definitely made it seem like the Mandalorians were a specific race, and obviously, so like, that's one thing with these. Ever since Disney has taken over Star Wars, they've pulled from the whole Rey and Kylo Ren thing is directly tied to to one of the books that Han and Leia have twin children that become Jedi. One becomes evil. One becomes one's the light side, and one of them is Ben Solo. The other one I think it might be Anakin Solo and Ben Solo are their names. Anyway, that's directly like kind of created from that one. They steal those plots. I'm sure there's other times they've borrowed from other works. So I don't know if they're making.
Jesus.
Yeah. Ooh, that kind of made me blush a little bit doing that. I don't know if that made Knights of the Old Republic like canon, but they definitely reference it a little bit. So the Darksaber, I was reading about that, is from one of the cartoons, like the Clone Wars cartoons. I didn't go too in depth about it, but I guess the Mandalorians create this specific lightsaber. So you don't have to be a Jedi to wield it, but they reference, I guess, in the Clone Wars, the cartoon that came out before Disney bought LucasArts. When they bought LucasArts, they quit making that movie or that show, and the last season of the show was going to be about this battle between the Jedi and the Mandalorians. So it sounds like they're going to release that cartoon on Disney Plus soon. I have a sneaky feeling it's going to tie back to this Darksaber that the dude was wielding. So they're kind of tying all this stuff on Disney Plus together.
When's like the next series starting?
Mandalorian?
Or are they thinking of like bringing something else out?
So the Clone Wars I read is supposed to be coming out in 2020. I forget when. I have February 2020 in my head. Don't hold me to that. I'd have to Google it. It's in my head, but I thought I'd hear more about it at this point.
It'll probably come out when BR for Modern Warfare comes out.
Yes. Okay, so hopefully that happens. But and then I know Mandalorian season 2 is going to come out the fall of 2020.
Okay.
And as far as like any news, I know they're going to do an Obi-Wan with Ewan McGregor on board. The Disney Plus series. I have no idea when it's coming out, but yeah, that
I'm a fan of you.
Yeah, for sure.
And he still got it. I saw he's
at the perfect age now.
I saw an interview with him, and they it was it's one of like those talk shows, but it's a British talk show. I can't think of the name right now, but it's always red. There's a couch. Celebrities have like a blast there, and he had a lightsaber for him. He's like, he's like, can you still like use this? And he still had the fucking motions with it. He was still sharp with the lightsaber. So I can't wait. I'm a big fan of him as an actor. And I was also a fan of him as what's his face, Obi-Wan.
Yeah. So, speaking of Ewan McGregor and his lightsaber skills, I was reading about in the Revenge of the Sith. There's supposed to be a battle. I don't know if you remember General Grievous. He's like the robot guy. He was supposed to battle him and all of his like henchmen. I don't know, his knights of the General Grievous. And I guess like Ewan McGregor had to do like some intense training for this specific scene, and I guess is this really elaborate lightsaber battle that is supposed to be like the most epic one. Generally, most people think the Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn battle is the best one. I agree, but this was supposed to be way better than that, and they filmed it and everything. I don't know if they actually filmed it, but I know it got cut out because George Lucas, like, they were running out of time. Like the film was getting too large, and it was going to be too like just. They needed to cut scenes, and that was one of the scenes that got cut down, and they ended up just, I don't know if you remember the scene, he topples the henchman by, like, pulling, like, a ship from the roof on top of him, and, like, that goes from this epic lightsaber battle to, like, you're dead.
Of all the things to cut, that's
what. But
nice job.
Overall,
stupid ass.
Yeah, not to. I guess we didn't really get too much into Mandalorian spoilers. I just not that I
we're not spoiling anything.
Yeah, I guess
it doesn't end where what like it's not one of those endings. Like,
I guess my point is my review on it is I think I recommend everyone going out and seeing it. It's 30-minute episodes. It's a real easy watch if you're a big Star Wars fan. It's entertaining. They just it just feels like Star Wars.
Yeah. You know what I wish they did, and I don't think it's ever going to happen just because it's, obviously Disney, but sometimes I wish that Star Wars was like rated R, and you had like a dark Star Wars, they just, I mean, how cool would it be when he grabs like that turret that from like apparently Terminator from the Skynet made, and he just mows down, you see like the same Rambo scene, but with stormtroopers, like, I mean that's like a personal thing for me, but like just like a darker, grittier, and then bloodier Star Wars, I think would. Yeah,
I mean I agree. I wish they weren't like handcuffed with making it. I think at this point they've leaned into like PG-13.
Yeah. But
I don't care about like more blood or gore or things like that. But I just wanted to feel more real.
Yeah.
They're never gonna do this. I love the fact that they're going to do the Obi-Wan as a Disney Plus series. I think overall Star Wars works much better in the mini-series approach. Several, like, even like I'm cool with like 6 or 7 hour-long episodes to put it all together. I hope the Obi-Wan one is, that's funny saying Obi-Wan one, is a hour-long episode, but like less episodes. Just so you can kind of, sometimes I guess maybe my complaint with Mandalorian is it kind of just feels like, oh, okay, it's over. For the most part, it's a good watch, but some of the episodes do feel a little short to me. Very minor critique. But I'd like to get more into the Obi-Wan's character building, and overall they do a decent job of kind of giving the background to Mando. I forget what his real name is. They mention it in the last episode, but it's a funny name, like all Star Wars names. You really don't know him yet, and I get it. You're spreading out a few seasons, but I hope this next season you kind of get to know the character a little bit more. He's still a little ambiguous.
And bring back Bill Burr. I was a big fan of.
Did he die? Didn't he
die? No, he's like in a prison.
That's right. He killed the other guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I agree. I feel like it's a great way to tell Star Wars stories because, like, I always feel like the movies are rushed. And another critique I could probably have on the last Star Wars movie, not to go back to it, but it felt rushed, at least at the beginning. Like, they're trying to just put all these, like, story ends together and, where when you're doing a show or a series, you have time. You get to just kind of pace yourself and build the characters. Mm-hmm. I think that if I had to critique it, I wish The Mandalorian was more of a series, like they're all connected.
Yeah.
And then just kind of work a little bit more on like character development.
Yeah. at the first like few episodes, I kind of liked that they were like their own individual thing, and then finally it got to the point. Yeah, I didn't feel like the character building was enough, and they weren't. Every episode wasn't connected enough for me. Again, these are minor complaints. It probably, if I had to like rate the series, I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10 or something like that. And if they did a better job of building up the characters, I'd push it towards that 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it's a pleasant watch. It's nothing like
100%.
groundbreaking though.
Yeah.
But that's to not delve into Rise of Skywalker too much and to try to wrap this whole thing up because we're kind of going long. Like Palpatine again, I'm pretty sure. I know it was just like, oh, we got to bring Palpatine back. It'd been better if that was spread out over like a couple movies to help build up the suspense more. Like if that was the reveal at the end of The Last Jedi, it would have, or just like it didn't even have to be the reveal at the end, just to sprinkle it in here or there. Oh, he's back. And then, like maybe the reveal at The Last Jedi is they learn that he's back. And then they just kind of build his character a little bit better throughout the Rise of Skywalker, because that's kind of his character is a little poorly developed in that too.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It looks cool though.
If like the movies are made for kids, then they should have like not everyone knows who like Palpatine is. You
Good
know,
point, yeah.
It's they almost did it in a going to wrestling. It's WrestleMania. We need somebody, Undertaker, get in there, you know,
Yeah.
and you expect everyone to know who Undertaker is.
I think is a good example of like fan service, because that's what this movie was. It's just all the people that were upset with like the rules that were broken in The Last Jedi, they try to fix, and some people maybe really liked it. I just thought it came off. It's just poorly constructed. That's all. It was executed bad.
Yeah, you know, and I'm going to end it. Here's my final thought, and it's going to be kind of generic, not necessarily a Star Wars thing, but I think creators need there's a fine line when it comes to listening to your fans.
Yep.
Happens a lot in video gaming, where this mistake is a constant, where yes, you should listen to your fans to a certain degree. You should do your thing. You're the creator. Mm-hmm. You're the brains. We're not the brains. For one, we're not all going to agree on the same thing. So you're always going to get
always going to be wrong. No matter what, you're always going to be wrong.
Call of Duty, for example, fans always fucking critique. They always say this is the best game. This is the worst game. Every single fucking game that's ever come out. They hated the new movement in Call of Duty. The very next one they put out was to shut us the fuck up, and guess what it was? Arguably your worst Call of Duty of all time. So stop listening to us. Listen to us when it comes to like normal things, like, I don't know, don't force these couples and, you know,
just
like,
understand how to filter it properly.
Right.
You're paid to create these things for a reason. I'm not creative enough, intelligent enough to put these things together. Let's go to a wrestling analogy again. I remember hearing Stone Cold was interviewed once and said, he's like, listen, I can't come up with storylines. I don't understand. That's just not my thing, but I can tell you what doesn't work. You give me an idea and I can tell you it doesn't work. I guess I feel the same way about myself. You can give me an idea, I can tell you it doesn't work. I'm not the guy to fix it though.
Yep. Continuing with the wrestling. You know what I would want for WrestleMania? What I want as a fan, I would love to see nothing more than Stone Cold against The Undertaker. Mm-hmm. Guess
It'd be
what?
An awful match.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. You know, because I'm a stupid fan that wants that, not realizing that these two guys can't do that
If you
anymore.
want an example for that, just Google Undertaker versus Goldberg, and it's both of them almost kill each other.
Yeah,
So they literally do. They drop each other on their head like a couple. Like you're big fan favorites, but like it's time to hang up the boots, guys.
right. But on paper,
Yeah.
if I'm a fan, if I'm a stupid, uneducated fan, I'm going to want to see that.
Sure. Absolutely.
And then I'll probably be also saying, well, this match sucked, do it better. No,
I would love Michael
Jordan.
Jordan. I would love Michael Jordan to play basketball still, but if you signed him, your team would be bad because he can't compete with this talent now.
Yeah. He still probably wouldn't be the worst player, though.
I think he would. I think he
I
would.
don't know. There's some bums out there. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. May the force be with you, and go fuck yourself, Brad.
Yes, Brad, please. By all means. Fuck yourself with the force.
Forcefully.
Forcefully.
Toodles!
See ya.